Communication is important in any circumstance, especially within the work environment. So how can you or we communicate more effectively or most effectively with single parents? Some best practices for effective communication: being organized, avoid late or last minute meetings, deadlines, or even changes of plans. Because if you need them to be there in person and they have childcare arrangements, the dread that one can feel when you are in a meeting and it's overrunning and you need to actually leave to go and get your child, because at the end of that is a child waiting for their parent who may be suffering from anxiety because their parent hasn't arrived at the time they had suggested. That's the last thing you want. That ripple effect and the cause and consequence for adverse reactions within the single parent as well as their child. So have a think about that. Being able to have empathy and not do that. This is a big one. Avoiding bro culture in organizations where you have the imbalance and the gender parity isn't there. Then you have the added intricacy of having a single mum, for example. Having the bro culture does not really promote inclusivity, and it doesn't allow for that respect with your fellow colleagues. Bro culture can be quite damaging. It can lead to feeling isolated. It can lead to one questioning their self-worth and skills, and that's a downhill spiral, and you want to avoid that completely. You might not have the intention, but have a think about that. Calling people mate and buddy might not work. The last piece of advice in respect of best practices for communication is using remote-friendly tools. So being in a remote working role, leveraging whatever it is that the business uses, whether it's Teams, Slack, or other, and using that to actually communicate with them async. And if you're wanting to chat to them, to ask them in advance, would you be available at this time? And then if they're not, they will tell you when they're available and you'll sync up a time. So it's really important to kind of ask for permission in a way to see if they're available. And then once you have established that trust and that rapport, they will be more open to sharing when they don't necessarily have the time to have meetings because they have other commitments.